Good evening and welcome to the briefing room. I'm Madhavdas G. It was a meeting of the boss and the killer on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Evian. Yes, we're talking about US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The G7 summit was the first time both leaders came face to face after 16 months. The last time these two leaders met face to face was in February 2025 at the White House in Washington, D.C., shortly after Trump's inauguration. But you'd remember how relations between the two countries nosedived rather spectacularly due to a number of issues, which is why there was enhanced focus on the bilateral. But the meeting that happened today was almost in complete contrast to some of the bitter moments that we've seen over the last few months. Today, the US President not only praised India and called the country a strong partner, he went on to shower overwhelming praises on the Prime Minister. Let's take a closer look at some of the highlights of this bilateral today. And these are some of the major highlights and outcomes. But Prime Minister Modi has raised the issue of safety of seafarers in the Trump bilateral. We've also seen how Trump acknowledged the death of sailors, but however did not apologize. The third highlight is that Trump said that India has a big role as long as Modi is the Prime Minister. Fourth, he goes on to say that US will protect India as long as Modi is PM. Trump has called Prime Minister Modi cool, a killer and a tough negotiator. He has further confirmed that US is very close to a trade deal with India. Trump has also signaled a visit to India sometime in the future as well. Now, one of the key takeaways from this meeting was certainly the killing of the Indian sailors off the coast of Oman. After all, 3 Indians lost their lives in just days after, the first announcement as far as ceasefire is concerned. And possibly the reason that how the Prime Minister actually took up this particular issue as well is very, very significant. Let's listen to what the Prime Minister referred to during the bilateral.
We had in particular some very good conversations with Prime Minister Modi, India, and we're doing trade deals. We're doing a lot of things. A lot of things are happening between the United States and India. The United States is doing the best we've ever done. We have over $19.2 trillion coming in, and we're building factories. We're building everything, and Prime Minister is building a lot in the United States. He's spending a lot of money in the United States, so we appreciate that job. But I just want to say he's been my friend for a long time now, and we've always had a great relationship, and it's great to be with you. Thank you very much. Great to be with you.
Thank you.
So what are we looking at in terms of what the Prime Minister specifically said? The Prime Minister said that freedom of navigation should be ensured. Lakhs of Indian seafarers are on duty worldwide. The security of seafarers is equally important, is what Prime Minister Modi has stated. He's also said that he's confident that their security will be prioritized.
एक्सेलेंसी, आप जानते हैं कि मैरीटाइम ट्रेड की दुनिया में भारत के लाखों सीफेरर्स आज दुनिया के अलग अलग समुद्र में अपनी सेवाएं दे रहे हैं, विश्व की प्रगति में बहुत बड़ा योगदान दे रहे हैं और मैं समझता हूं कि उनकी सुरक्षा भी उतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि समझौते में सीफेरर की सुरक्षा भी सुनिश्चित होगी और उसको प्राथमिकता मिलेगी।
Tragic loss of lives of Indian sailors recently, sir, in American strikes. Any words of condolences for the grieving families? Sir?
Yeah, I do. I heard about that. It's a rough profession. There's no question about it. And we work together on it. This has been happening throughout time, but we work together on it. Yeah, certainly. We love all of those people. They're great people.
What was interesting in this meeting is how US President literally showered praises on the Prime Minister. Donald Trump went on to say that the US will do whatever it takes to protect India, but he made this declaration with a caveat. He says the US will definitely protect India as long as Modi is the Prime Minister. He even went on to call the Prime Minister a cool and calm person, a killer and a tough negotiator. One certainly hopes that this bonhomie between the two leaders on the global stage translates into a fruitful relationship between the two countries as well.
The most beautiful looking man. He looks so nice. He's like an angel. But actually, he's as tough as he's a killer. I don't want to. He's a killer. He's as tough as they come. But He looks so good. So he gets you by surprise. But there's few people like this. People say he's such a nice man. I said no, he's very tough. He's a tough trader, and he loves the Indian people.
Do you expect India to play any role in West Asia?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think India plays a big role in everything. As long as he's the leader, India's going to play a big role. If they were attacked, we would be there to help them. How is that? Is that a good statement? Okay, come here, man. If anybody attacks that man, we're going to be there. Now, if there's a new leader, I'm not sure about it. Okay. If there's a new leader, I don't know about that. But if they're attacked and he's the leader, we're going to be there to help.
All right, let's quickly open this up and take it across to our guests now joining us. We have Ambassador Anil Trigunath, former diplomat, with us. Major General Sanjay Maestan, ex-defense attaché to Afghanistan, is also with us. We have Ambassador Jeffrey Gunter, a former diplomat of the United States, and Peter Kuznick, who's author and professor of history and director of the Nuclear Studies Institute at the American University, joining us. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening. Ambassador Trigunath, while this certainly many expected would be an icebreaker of a meeting after 16 months of perhaps frosty ties, if I can call it that, many turns and events which people were not really expecting over these 16 months. But you think that the two leaders have put that all behind them, and at least the bonhomie that we've seen is enough to expect that it's all going to be uphill from here on. Ambassador Trigunath.
Well, thank you, Madhav. The thing is that President Trump has been fond of Prime Minister Modi. There's no doubt about it. Forever, he has been praising showering praises on Prime Minister Modi, irrespective of the fact that what a rocky relationship we have had in his second term. So that's also a fact. We have been uniquely chosen for the highest tariffs. And then there were several times that he has used all kinds of language that was not palatable. And the worst came when we had these Indian sailors who were killed, and several of them could not be saved even by those ships that were sinking them, despite the SOS call and all. So that's the reality of it. We have had problems in the trade deal. We have had problems in tariffs. At the same time, this remains a global comprehensive strategic partnership. They understand India's value. But at the same time, President Trump himself, says some things and does something else. Like, there is no apology, there is no condolences. This happens. It's a matter of routine from his side. As far as trade deal is concerned, that's another thing that is still has some sticking points.
Yes.
And I think the biggest sticking point is going to be the Section 301 sanctions that will come from behind and will impinge. So all that would have to be done, but as far as
I'm going to come to the economic aspects of it in just a moment. Let me bring in Ambassador Jeffrey Gunter. Jeffrey Gunter, the point that is being made over here is that diplomatic niceties apart, and certainly, of course, a lot of words of praise. He's been very effusive in praising Prime Minister Modi. He's talked about the personal relationship that the two leaders enjoy, and of course, how the two countries are coming together. But the larger question is that in terms of key issues, what India expects, for instance, how India's diplomatically raised the killing of 3 sailors, there's no apology. There are no condolences coming in from President Trump. He just said it's a tough profession. So perhaps the message coming in from the White House or Washington, D.C. that will be interpreted in New Delhi is that it's tough. Live with it.
Well, actions speak louder than words. Look at our great Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was just in India for the Quad. He wasn't there for 1 or 2 days. He was there for 4 continuous days. You have one of the top U.S. ambassadors in Sergio Gore in India now. He's probably, if not the most connected U.S. ambassador there is throughout Washington, D.C. and in the Trump administration. Number 3, $500 billion pending trade deal would disagree with your skepticism. That's a huge deal. That's going to be great. Everyone who's building the deep water port in Fiji as a result of the Quad meeting would also disagree with you guys as well. President Trump has always had great admiration and a great relationship with your great Prime Minister Modi. And I'm not going to take my victory lap on your esteemed show quite yet, but I've been saying for almost a year and a half now that we're going to see 100,000 Indians and American fans, and we're going to see Donald Trump and Modi on the stage when that happens. And it looks like that's coming to fruition as well. I'm not a skeptic. I'm an optimist. And the reason why I'm optimistic is we are two great democracies. We are strategic partners, and this relationship is just getting better. And you have to understand, Donald Trump diplomacy is not your typical diplomats. He's not going to chat up a building in Manhattan and then pay more for it. He's going to have some political rhetoric about it, but he will always have a strong relationship with the principals. And that's why he has a strong relationship with Putin. That's why he has a strong relationship with Xi. And that's why he has great, deep respect for your Prime Minister Modi.
Well, he has a very strange way of showing it by calling India a hellhole and, in fact, referring to it as a dead economy. But we'll come to that in a moment. Let me bring in Peter Kuznick. Peter Kuznick, do you agree with the optimism that's being shown here by the ambassador when he refers to how, the Quad has been very successful, the number of meetings, the intensity of it has come down drastically? Just today, we saw how the Indo-Pacific Command has been reverted from its 2018 renaming back to the Pacific Command, which many say is also a clear signal of how far New Delhi and Washington, D.C. are at the moment.
Well, I agree more with the Indian ambassador than I do with the former U.S. ambassador. The relations between the U.S. and India have been very rocky. It began very early on in this second administration when Trump claimed credit for mediating the ceasefire there between India and Pakistan. Afterwards, Trump geared very strongly toward Pakistan. Pakistan reciprocated by nominating Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize. What a joke. A man who bombed 7 countries his first year in office got nominated by Pakistan for the Nobel Peace Prize. Then you saw Trump slap those very, very high tariffs on India, go after the H-1B visas. More recently, now with the killing of the Indian sailors, we've seen one thing after another that's been an insult to India. I'm embarrassed to see Trump's performance at the G7 meetings. If you heard his statement just now, it's beyond bizarre. But the fact that Modi does not call him out for what it is. India was hurt very badly by this U.S.-Israeli war of choice against Iran. India is suffering high prices, high inflation, oil, fertilizer. This is having a very serious impact. And the fact that the G7 leaders praised Trump for his leadership, for coming up with this memorandum of understanding, which is so much worse than the Obama deal that Trump's gotten attacked by Ted Cruz, by Mike Pompeo, by you go Lindsey Graham,
right.
Roger Wicker, you go one after another. So Trump now is trying to say that it's Obama, so he's attacking Obama for the HCPOA,
right,
saying this is a much better deal.
Okay.
The world knows that this is a joke.
Okay. Before I go across to Major General Meston, I want a quick response from Ambassador Gunter. Your response to that, because I think primarily, what Trump has done, at least Peter Kuznick says, is an embarrassment, to quote him. Please respond.
Yeah, as a physician, not only a U.S. ambassador, I'm going to make a diagnosis of my esteemed panelists. I'm going to say TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. The world is a much safer place in spite of what your panelist is saying. He's made 8 peace accords. He did the Abraham Accords. The world of Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama was a complete disaster. We saw wars around the world. Donald Trump is a peacetime president. He got rid of a nuclear weapon, a nuclear-armed Iran potentially in the region. And let's face it, India doesn't need another neighbor who has nuclear weapons. They have border disputes with China, border disputes with Pakistan, and the last thing they need is another nuclear-armed country in their neighborhood. So I say, God bless President Trump. What he's doing is phenomenal, and it might not be the stylistic approach of many of your esteemed diplomats on the show, but it's incredibly effective. And if you don't think it's effective, go ask the Ayatollah. Oh, wait, he's gone. Go ask the second Ayatollah. Oh, wait, he's in a coma. Go ask the Navy. Gone. Go ask the Air Force. Gone. It's incredibly effective with a loss of 13 service members. Only 6 or 7 were in combat. This is effectiveness. This is great diplomacy. And I promise all you guys, we are going to see President Trump and Modi on the stage in India with great accolades and a great big, beautiful, huge trade deal between India and America, and that's going to elevate.
Well, he said we're very close to that trade deal. We'll have to, of course, go through the fine print and what the implications of that are. But Major General Messin, I want you to comment on the one thing that Trump said, which perhaps has attracted a lot of attention. He says if anyone attacks this man, then we're going to be there to try and protect him, to save him, or something to that effect. I'm just paraphrasing here. Do you think that that's really a statement of intent, or is that grandstanding?
Madhav, good evening. I think it is not a statement of intent because supposing India attacks Pakistan tomorrow, if there is a terrorist attack, whom will he support? I think in Op Sindoor, it was very clear that President Trump was obviously supporting Pakistan throughout. In fact, he took credit for the ceasefire, which of course was not the reality. So I think these were just statements. He was making these statements without any sense because see, President Trump is that president. Unfortunately, his so-called close allies, NATO allies, and of course not even Netanyahu. You know, a president of America using such harsh language against Israeli Prime Minister, I think does not augur well. So similarly, if he's showering praises on Prime Minister Modi, I think really does the intent matter? Because then why did the relations go down? Just because he imposed 50% tariffs on trade. If we are having such a good strategic partnership, then that should not have happened. Secondly, if the Prime Minister of India has stated very clearly in the Indian Parliament and everywhere, you know that it was the DGMO of Pakistan who had called and asked for ceasefire, then why is President Trump claiming the credit on a war which was, defined by India? We had defined very clearly your military objectives, which we achieved in a matter of 48 hours. I think it was one of the best combat operations which we did. And there was no collateral damage. So everything we achieved. And thereafter, after having achieved our objectives, we just said, okay, fine, the DGMO is called up and that's it.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you. I just want to quickly bring to the attention of our viewers what the Prime Minister has just put out on social media. He said that I'm pleased to meet President Trump in Evian. We have received the sustained progress, or reviewed rather, the sustained progress in bilateral cooperation in trade, energy, defense, technology and people-to-people ties, conveyed India's appreciation on the progress in the efforts for restoring peace and stability in West Asia. Keeping the Strait of Hormuz open is vital for the global economy, reiterated the importance of ensuring safety and security of civilians, including seafarers. Now, how important is it? And Major Messin, you can come in on this, because when President Trump says that India will play a major role in West Asia as long as Narendra Modi is the leader, what does he really mean over here?
I think he makes 2 points very clear. One is that India's probable role in West Asia is going to be very, very clear. One is the IMEC corridor. I think that is the most important aspect for India, for Israel, for Europe and for America. This was announced way back in the last G20 summit in Delhi. The second factor is about the seafarers. See, let me be very candid. Not only America, even Iranians have harmed Indian seafarers. You know, if you go back just last 3 years and even till this year, January, they had apprehended total in the last 3 years 755 seafarers on charges of smuggling.
Right.
And even as late in January this year, 19 people were held in custody, including in Bandar Abbas. So the message is very clear to all the rogues in the world that, and today, India is a nation where all trade in the world, maximum trade is happening by ships. 80% of the trade happens through shipping. And maximum seafarers after Philippines is the Indians, about 3 lakh Indians.
Right.
So their security matters, because if tomorrow Indians are targeted this way, the international trade will suffer. So
absolutely.
I think 2 messages are very, very clear. One is, of course, the IMEC corridor, and the second is it's a message for anyone, including America himself, President Trump, and of course Iran, that seafarers of India and anywhere in the world, they should not be attacked, because they are the ones who are actually correcting the entire world through global shipping. So this is resulting into good economic development for the entire world.
Okay,
so,
let me bring in Peter Kuznick on another important aspect. Peter Kuznick, you know, he has also referred to, we know the one big hypocrisy that India has had a problem with is what the US repeatedly says as far as sanctioning of Russian oil, of Iranian oil is concerned. And, you know, Trump has not ruled that out when he was asked a specific question this evening.
Yes, the Europeans, with the support of Canada and Japan, are very united in making sure that the war goes on and that we continue fighting to the last Ukrainian. You know, they're not a force for peace. In this regard, I give Trump a little more credit because Trump is trying to balance relations with Russia and relations with Ukraine. And what we need, what everybody recognizes we need, is an agreement and a peace settlement as quickly as possible there. If Donald Trump can use his influence to achieve that, that would be very, very positive. You know, I welcome that. And I welcome that.
Okay, Ambassador Trignath, I think, you know, it's also very important to look at what India's interest is at the end of the day. And if he said that there's a problem that Zelensky and Putin don't get along, they have, you know, equations or the personal equations which are quite fraught. At the end of the day, India's biggest concern would be oil and where it can actually buy cheaper crude from, because this oil crisis is not going to go away even if the war ends for at least another 6 months to a year, is what many experts have opined. Ambassador Trignath.
Well, it's true. I mean, for us, energy security is the most important. And I always believed that stability and security in West Asia has an existential importance for India. But at the same time, like any other smart nation, India has also diversified its sources of energy. I mean, we are reporting from about 41 countries, including the United States, Venezuela, from Argentina and Brazil, as far as apart from diversifying in Africa. But Russia remains the major supplier of crude oil to India, and the energy is the backbone of India's economy at the moment. And therefore, India will continue to diversify.
Right.
Our purchases from USA have significantly increased, both in terms of crude and the LNG. So India will continue to disperse its risks, I believe, going forward.
And how much of that? You were making an earlier point, Ambassador Trignath, about the trade deal itself. How much in that trade deal would energy security and India's energy concerns be addressed? Because India has long said that only if you provide the kind of prices that we are getting globally and make it competitive, will India be in a position to buy huge amounts of energy from the United States.
Well, as far as India is concerned, I mean, we have always said that we will buy from the cheapest sources. Dr. Jaishankar, and in Finland, he had said the same thing very recently. We are ready to buy from anywhere. I mean, you prevent us from buying from the Middle East last time when they had problem with Russia. And therefore, all the countries in the Gulf were asked to provide it to Europe. Therefore, we had to go to Russia. Russia provided a discounted price. We saved about $23 billion out of that. So that's a smart economic move for every country. And it has been we don't have to justify it to anybody. We have to see our own national interests, which are most important. And if the United States is our global comprehensive strategic partner, it should be able to appreciate India's concerns.
Absolutely. And will these talks really have an impact, a material difference? Because while the United States has been making efforts to repair the relationship with India, many questions about whether a lot of damage has been done. And demonstrably, what can happen on ground is something that everyone will be watching out for closely. Ambassador Anil Trigunath, Major General Sanjay Meston, also with us, Ambassador Jeffrey Gunter and Peter Kuznick. Thank you so much for joining us this evening and breaking this down for our viewers.